conjunctivitis are all common sicknesses that we've heard of. Most people have experienced at least one of these sicknesses in their lifetime, and they're all characterized as types of infections. We've all had some type of infection by this point in our life. The clinical definition of an infection, according to MedicineNet, is the invasion and multiplication of microorganisms that are not normally present in our bodies. To fight this, our first line of defense is our immune system. If our immune system isn't strong enough to fight the infection that has invaded our bodies, we turn to a class of drugs known as antibiotics. Through my biology major and the knowledge I gained while taking principles of microbiology here at Eastern, I plan to educate you on the growing problem of antibiotic resistance caused by their misuse and explain what antibiotics are, their cycle to resistance, and the issues that it presents to our society. To begin to understand the dilemma of antibiotic resistance, you should know that antibiotics are substances taken from microorganisms that control the growth of or kill other bacteria. Antibiotics are used to treat bacterial infections only, not viral infections. Viruses are non-living, so they cannot be killed like bacteria can, which is why antibiotics should not be used to treat viral infections. Antibiotics work in complex ways by inhibiting a cell wall and its growth, or breaking a piece of cellular machinery that the cell needs to reproduce. This scientific concept on how to kill harmful bacteria was first put into action by Alexander Fleming in 1928, and he created the first true antibiotic, penicillin, out of a fungus. After Fleming's discovery, scientists started experimenting, and in the 1940s, antibiotic production exploded. It's important to understand that antibiotics, if used correctly at all times by everyone, bacteria would still be resistant because, like all organisms, they learn to adapt in their environment. During an infection, you have weak bacteria present, but you also have extremely strong bacteria. When you contract an infection and begin taking around antibiotics, the bacteria are slowly dying. Naturally, the weaker die first because they're not as well adaptive. Ultra-strong bacteria can adapt well and take many hits from antibiotics. When you begin to feel better after a half a round of antibiotics and discontinue the taking of the medication, you've killed most of your bacteria except the ultra-strong individuals that can withstand it. When you kill the weak and leave the strong reproduce stronger, which in turn reduces the effectiveness of the antibiotics specified to fight the infection that you have. This cycle is antibiotic resistance. The worldwide use of antibiotics strongly promotes their resistance. Bacteria are smart, and resistance is part of their nature. They can change the attack site of an antibiotic, they can prevent an antibiotic from penetrating their cell, or they can neutralize an antibiotic before it harms them. Global misuse of an antibiotic is what allows bacteria to develop this really high resistance. Bacteria can develop resistance in various ways. They can be used to treat viral infections instead of bacterial infections. You can be prescribed a round of antibiotics and stop taking the medication too early, or antibiotics can be taken too often by prescribing the same antibiotic to treat the same infection. Bacteria are extremely resilient. When antibiotics are improperly used, they kill out vulnerable bacteria and leave resilient individuals, as mentioned before. These resilient bacteria persist, grow, and spread, causing a greater infection in origin and in other people. This resilience leads to a more difficult treatment course and fewer antibiotics that have the power to fight and end the infection. Considering the patient is infected, their understanding of antibiotic resistance is extremely important, but what the doctors who are prescribing all these antibiotics, why are they doing it at free will? They are said to be knowledgeable of infections and the drugs that treat them, but why is the government not regulating how often they prescribe antibiotics? Why are doctors themselves not ensuring that they are prescribing antibiotics for bacterial infections? Listen to Mark Mendelson, who is the head of infectious diseases at the University of Cape Town, in this short video clip. saying is most people go to the doctor and expect you to give them an antibiotic and that they really don't know what they need. And then he's also saying that there's a public awareness issue, that you don't really understand the resistance, but they do, but you still expect the antibiotic. And then he's also saying, okay, this resistance that I've been educating you about has been a driving force behind a really strong bacteria I want to spotlight, MRSA. You've probably heard of this bacteria in the news in previous years, and it's commonly called staph infection. MRSA stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. The name shows that this particular bacteria cannot be treated with the antibiotic methicillin, and I found some statistics from the Center for Disease Control that show over 80,000 severe MRSA cases occur every year, and over 11,000 of those are fatal. On a scale of 1 to 5, the CDC ranked the staph infection 4 out of 5 on a threat level, which labeled it serious. What the CDC is also pointing out is that staph infections are a leading cause of healthcare-associated infections, meaning that those who are hospitalized or elderly are at a high risk to contract MRSA because of the environments that they live in and their weakened immune state. Considering that MRSA is contracted in hospitalized settings, those who are infected may have a chance to learn tidbits about antibiotic resistance from people who are around it every day. When people are in the community and they contract just a basic infection and they're prescribed an antibiotic, it's likely that they'll misuse it in the ways described previously and further the resistance of that bacteria without their knowledge. Antibiotics are being misused because of the lack of knowledge on how to take them and the freelance that they're being prescribed. Antibiotic resistance is a global issue, and hopefully this speech has educated you on infection, antibiotic, and medicinal knowledge that will continue